In the year 2046, on the calendar of the Blue Planet, a reality simulation system called Apocalypse appeared in the world. This system spread rapidly across the globe. Almost everyone rushed to the Apocalypse system. Absolutely no social status was important. Thanks to the Apocalypse system, some people could get rich in just one night. However, there were also those who failed because of the system, and he fell into a bottomless abyss. Despite the downsides of the system, nothing could stop the rapid onset of the apocalypse wave. Humanity plunged into the system. One day, the simulation-filling anomalies abruptly invaded the real world of people. All the horrors of the apocalypse system began to materialize into reality in an instant. Evil demons led by death wreaked havoc and destruction. Behind the era of prosperity came a bloody price. Everyone was dead by then, only they were left on the last line of defense. Getting down on one knee from fatigue and wounds, the boy realized that the city was about to fall. The bitterness of defeat blinded his eyes. He didn't understand why all this was happening. It was just a normal game where everyone was having fun and killing their time. Then why did all the horrors from that game come true? No one could escape this nightmare. All his friends had died under the onslaught of an enemy whose power they could not recognize. His legs were shaking, but he tried to find the strength to stand on his still shaking legs. He is the last survivor. Even though this world has already turned into hell, it seems humanity has no hope anymore. It's not surprising, considering how formidable the enemy was before him, death itself with a giant scythe. Although there is no hope, the guy does not want to die a shameful death, but wants to die in battle, wants to die as a great man. He decides to use all his strength and uses a fire attack with his staff. He decides to put everything on the line and risk his life. He encourages himself that from his attack, there won't be a single living thing left of the demons. However, the scythe of the giant body of death is already flying towards him. This giant scythe cuts him in half, but Sumu, the protagonist's name, only thinks that he will not give up, and the vile demons will be destroyed. He won't give up because people shouldn't give up. Suddenly, the guy shouted to the entire audience that he would not give up. As it turned out, Sumu found himself by a strange coincidence in the classroom. All the students immediately stared at him with strange looks because he shouted like a fool at the whole class, where silence should be observed. The teacher is furious at his students shouting. With Sumu's level of knowledge, he was somehow allowed to sit for the state exams. So what can a student not like? He should be happy. The teacher asks Sumu to sit down at his desk, or else the teacher will have to confiscate his work. The boy looks at his hands and is still trying to come to his senses and realize what's going on. He thought he was dead after all. At this moment, a voice comes from the school speakers and informs that there are 5 minutes left before the exam starts, so the voice asks the students to make sure that they have received the forms, asks them to write their name and the number of the exam ticket. The words from the speakers make Sumu think that since it's an exam, has he gone back 10 years to when the Apocalypse game was launched? He still can't believe it. As he dipped his hand into his pocket, he found an interesting thing there, and that thing turned out to be a ring. When he took the ring out of his pocket, he was surprised to find that the Apocalypse ring had also returned with him. The teacher at this time had already freaked out and walked towards the guy with a very disgruntled look. The Apocalypse ring served as a means to enter the game, and since he already had the ring, there might be a chance that he could enter the game before the others. Sumu didn't fully understand why he was reborn. The teacher just freaks out and grabs the guy by the scruff of the neck. He calls Sumu an unworthy brat, and since Sumu is unwilling to sit in his seat and therefore interferes with the exam, the teacher is ready to kick him out of the class. The guy is infuriated by the teacher's words. He doesn't want the teacher to demand respect from everyone while calling other people scum. He remembers Teacher Chin in his past life. When the end of the world came, the teacher simply betrayed his students and ran away like a coward. The teacher doesn't understand what his student is talking about. Sumu decides not to waste any more time on useless studies. The teacher is simply enraged and tells Sumu to go back. However, Sumu is not like that. Why should he study? He has better things to do. He needs to play the interesting game Apocalypse. Studying is for wimps. Pretty soon, the others will realize what the Apocalypse really is. The teacher in this case is right and wrong at the same time. He calls his student trash. He also thinks his student just went crazy while he was playing his games. I guess back then the teacher didn't know about the 8th grader syndrome yet. The other students laugh with Sumu and what a clown the guy really is. One of the classmates thinks that Sumu even refusing the exam looks cool. Some of the classmates were surprised that Sumu dared to stand up to the headmaster. One of his classmates heard Sumu mention the game Apocalypse and remarked that it was the online game that had been talked about so much lately. Some of the classmates want to play after the exams are over or pick up the hottest guy in school. It's that time again, just like 10 years ago in 2046, on the calendar of the blue planet in the world. There is a reality simulation system called Apocalypse. We need to prevent what happened that time, when this system rapidly spread across the globe. It was just like the last time. Almost everyone rushed into the Apocalypse system. Absolutely no social status was important. In-game currency could be exchanged for real money, and 1 unit of weapons for a luxury car or house. Even some transactions between countries began to take place within the game. Humanity seemed doomed. Soon the anomalies that fill the simulation will invade the real world of people again. All the horrors of the Apocalypse system in an instant will begin to materialize in reality, and the world will once again rain chaos and destruction, and human civilization will be on the verge of collapse. Then, in the face of a rapidly world-destroying catastrophe, humanity could finally unite to fight for survival. Even though humanity's strength in front of the gods and demons from the game seemed insignificant, people did not lose hope, and everything continued until the sun, moon, and stars disappeared from sight. Sumu exhaled now, for he remembered all those horrors again. He felt as if he was disconnected from the entire world. He didn't even know if it was a dream or an illusion. In the end, he decided that it didn't matter if he was the last one left in that battle. What mattered was that he was destined to be reborn once more. No matter what, he still needed to believe that the light of humanity would shine forever. He got home early from school, opened the door, and announced his arrival home. However, all that awaited him was an empty apartment and a note. The note was from his mom and stated that she and her husband had gone on an expedition with a team. His mom asked her son to take care of his health and also informed him that she had transferred the money to his account, so he could buy whatever he wanted. She even promises that they will come home with gifts for him. Looking at this note from his mom, the boy was happy again. At least the heavens had given him another chance. This time he should definitely save his father and mother. It was still morning, 11 o'clock. The boy was lying on his bed and looking at the ring. He had gotten the fateful Apocalypse ring in advance. Putting the ring on his finger, he pondered the fact that the game was not yet available. But if he could get the game to launch an hour earlier than everyone else in the world, then it would allow him to change the course of fate. He only wishes the game would work so he could enter it, and as if hearing his prayers, the ring shone with a bright light. As if his soul, a part of him separated from his body, he was very happy that the ring worked. His second journey in the game Apocalypse was about to begin. Diving into the game, there were only numbers around him. Finally, he arrived at the game. Someone welcomed him to the Apocalypse world as well. He also informed him that Sumu was in the Jia region, in the north of Sleeping Dragon, and that the future was in the hands of the warriors of humanity. This turned out to be the newcomer's welcome menu. Sumu rejoiced, for he had done it. He had managed to enter Apocalypse before anyone else. It was time to choose his game class. A multitude of class spheres appeared around him. Without thinking for a second, Sumu rushed towards only one class. He didn't choose a mage, and the only important thing was not to choose a mage. Since he has another opportunity, he wants to change his class to healer, earn a lot of gold, and no longer play games that suck money out of people like he did in his previous life. However, on his numerous attempts, an error always appears, and that he can't change the hero class. Sumu doesn't understand why he can't choose, since he hasn't chosen a different class before. The man advises the young warrior to look at his characterization panel. There, Sumu sees some very discouraging news. He doesn't understand if there is some kind of mistake. How could it be that after being reborn, he still has his old account? This information is not so bad. What's bad is that all the levels and characteristics have been reset to 0. Sumu yells at the man in the menu because maybe he was the one who conjured it up. Sumu complains about life because few people know how hard it is to level up a character as a mage. This is not a game, but an endless grind. However, the man runs away because since the young hero already has an account, he should already start his adventures as soon as possible. Sumu is upset that the old man just ran away. Since this old man was reborn, why couldn't Sumu be given a dragon sword or other starting equipment? Saying that, he had a brilliant idea. He forgot to check his equipment and materials. However, all that appeared before him was just an empty inventory. The guy complains that this is a rather devastating rebirth. He was able to inherit his previous profile, then why didn't the gold and gear that was in his inventory travel back in time with him? Suddenly, the guy's attention was caught by an item that somehow ended up in his inventory after all. The guy is surprised to see the item, as he didn't expect to see such an item in his inventory. This item turns out to be the bone of the god of death. The item description says, "When you look into the abyss also looks at you." The Sumu never realized what the object was in his hands. What will happen next, and will he subdue the god of death? After looking at the item he received, Sumu complains that the item doesn't even have any characteristics. He is angry because it is a useless item to him. He doesn't understand where all the promised bonuses that are given to the reborn are. At the same moment, his body began to disintegrate into data. The game congratulated the guy for being the first player in the world of Apocalypse. So the game gives the guy the unique title of first player, the fastest man. What kind of weird titles does a game have? After that, Sumu finally got into the game. After booting up, he found himself in the newcomer village. The game immediately brought him a gift, a novice mage kit. Sumu also resented the fact that he was called the fastest man. He absolutely did not understand how he would carry such a title. But after looking at the title, his opinion changed. He had originally thought of something completely different. The title, The Fastest Man, increased some characteristics. Movement speed increased by 20%. Spell casting speed increased by 20%. Critical damage chance increased by 5%. Defense increased by 5%. Sumu's eyes lit up. He was already happy to have received such a title. He thought that such bonuses were simply amazing. The fastest man didn't hesitate. He quickly sets off to pump himself up. He was excited when he met the boars in the game. He missed them so much and prepared for battle. The enraged boars rushed at high speed towards the guy. But Sumu didn't stop it, because he is now a mage and decides to try out the fireball on the boars. After reaching its target, the fireball did only 12 damage. The guy is surprised that the level 1 fireball is so weak and only did 12 damage. He's upset that his rookie era is far behind him and that it's now too hard to adapt. All he has to do now is run away from the enraged boars. He even asks the boars to calm down. He used to be able to destroy all the boars instantly, but now he has to run away shamefully. Suddenly, the guy heard some noise. He stopped, and the boars that were chasing also stopped. In the distance, some figure could be seen. It was a girl whose clothes were torn in places. The girl was screaming, calling for someone to help her. She was asking for help for a reason, for behind the girl ran a huge boar. It was the Boar King. The game instantly offered a special task of the main storyline. The hero saves the beauty. It was necessary to kill the Boar King and rescue Xiaohua. The reward was 20 gold coins and 500 experience points. This was his first hidden assignment. Considering the extremely low chance of activating hidden assignments, the guy considered it a success. It even seemed to him that luck had finally turned his way, even though he was surrounded by a mob of boars. Xiaohua jumped into the guy's embrace and was glad that the warrior had finally come. The guy was also about to hug the girl and was happy to see her. However, at the same instant, he gave Xiaohua a slap that she didn't expect to receive. Not only the girl, but also the boars and even the Boar King froze in surprise after seeing this. Xiaohua doesn't understand why a brave warrior would do such a thing. Sumu even scoffs at the girl because she was supposedly just picking mushrooms and then encountered wild boars, and then they suddenly chased after her. Xiaohua flaps her eyes with uncomprehending eyes and doesn't know how the guy knew all this. Then Sumu tells him that he knows how the girl used to steal her grandfather's jewelry as a child to exchange it for candy. Also, the girl used to plant frogs in the well of old man Wang, who lived in the neighborhood. Sumu also knows that the girl is a filthy demonic creature and that she was going to seduce him and then take advantage of the opportunity. Suddenly, the girl's skin is covered with red symbols. The guy is not surprised that the girl can't get over the fact that he exposed her. The girl couldn't just let it go because the guy knew too much about her. The system in the game informed the guy that the demonized Xiaohua was in front of him. Her health was 500, mana was 100, attack was 50, defense was 20, and speed was 20. There was nothing left of the girl's beautiful and innocent image. She was like a fury, displeased with the fact that the guy was spying on her. However, the guy reassures him that it wasn't even his knowledge, and that it was just the bloody experience of players from his past life. At the same instant, Xiaohua decides to end the poor guy's life. But at the last moment, Sumu still manages to dodge the attack and he escapes, asking the boars to detain the girl. Xiaohua did not ignore the boar and attacked him first. The boar did not ignore such a provocation. Sparks even flashed out of his eyes like lightning, and he also rushed to attack the girl. However, the poor boar king was destroyed in an instant. Xiaohua didn't even feel it and instantly slashed the boar king. The girl rushed after the guy and declared that the guy was in for the same consideration as the boar king. Sumu started to run away and wondered what he should do. He couldn't think of anything stupider than to say that the girl's underpants were visible. Xiaohua immediately stopped to take a look to see if it was true. However, at that moment, Sumu attacked her with a fireball. The fireball deals 100% damage to a single target. It requires 10 mana to use. Its range is 35 meters. Its duration is 1 second. With a 10% chance of activating the effect, falling fire meteors. This fire attack has successfully reached its target. The burnt Xiaohua is furious. The wretched little man dared to mock her, so he should only belong in a coffin. At this point, Sumu decided to make a reference to the running girl meme. Without being distracted, the guy attacked the chasing girl again. Trying to break away but keeping his distance, Sumu attacked Xiaohua with the fireball again and again. He taunted the girl by teasing her to catch up with him. Sumu remembered that the guide he had read in his past life talked about this demon. The magic demon in front of him drew energy from the magical air that was in this forest. That was why the demon couldn't leave the forest. According to those memories, the demon wouldn't be able to move if she moved further than 10 meters away from the forest. Based on this knowledge, at some point, Sumu stopped and began to encourage the girl to attack him. Xiaohua is furious and ready to tear the guy to pieces, but Sumu for some reason keeps joking around with the girl. Suddenly, Xiaohua stopped right in front of the guy. She didn't realize why her body didn't move. The guy keeps teasing her, asking her to rack her brains. Immediately afterward, a meteor shower formed in the sky. Sumu tells the girl not to even ask for mercy. The meteor shower rained down with all its might on Xiaohua, who was still unable to move. Even when all burned up, she fell to the ground. She still couldn't move. The game at the same moment congratulated the guy for defeating the demonized Xiaohua. This resulted in 500 gold coins and 1,500 experience points. The game also congratulated the guy on completing the special assignment. The hero rescues a beautiful woman. For this task, the guy received 20 gold coins and 500 experience points. It also turned out that Sumu had completed another hidden task, demonized by Xiaohua. For this quest, the guy received 1,000 gold coins and 10,000 experience points. Once again, the game congratulated the guy because his level had increased to level 2. Sumu even laughed because the probability of summoning a rain of fire was only 10%, so luck was clearly on his side today. Now Xiaohua could not escape from him. He crouched down next to the girl. The guy was so excited about this hidden task since he had risen to the 2nd level so quickly. So he decided to examine the girl and see what reward she was hiding. Suddenly, the death god bone appeared in front of him once again. He was surprised that the death god bone glowed with some strange and frightening aura. He couldn't believe that from the level increase, the item's level had also increased, and the item's level became the first. He didn't understand what was going on with the death god bone item. In his past life, he had never heard of the existence of such an item. Based on the name, he thought that it was a rather rare artifact. The system window reported that the Death God Bone item had not been activated yet. To activate this item, one had to find Tree of Life Essence, Mummy Belt, 3,000 pieces, Dried Blood, 3,000 pieces. He was shocked, and it seemed like a mistake to him. After all, how could it be that an item required so many materials? In the end, he decided to do the pumping first. He could easily obtain all the resources mentioned in the newcomer village. As a last resort, he decided that he would grind non-stop until he obtained those resources. After a while, the girl came to her senses. She reported that she was taken over by an evil demonic spirit, so she thanked the guy for saving her. Because of saving the girl, the guy received a heavenly fire staff, which has not been recognized yet. The guy also received a Xiaohua hairpin. He was glad that in his previous life, he had thoroughly studied all the guides and now knew about the existence of hidden missions. He was so excited holding the staff in his hands because this purple level fire staff was the reward for passing. The guy felt that there was nothing better than hidden missions. He was going to go to the newcomer's village a little later to assess the staff's properties. but even so, he supposed that this weapon was powerful. Xiaohua asked the warrior to guide her back to the village. There her grandfather would thank the guy. The game offered to accept a quest, Flower Escort, the main storyline. For this task, the game offered a reward of 10 gold coins and 100 experience points. Without thinking long, Sumu decided to accept this quest. He picked up the girl and carried her on his back. The guy even began to drool with pleasure. After all, he was now experiencing such a pleasant and realistic feeling. In the game Apocalypse, really everything was wonderful. So the guy left the Green Bay Forest location and headed to Qingyu village with the girl. A little while later, Sumu arrived with Xiaohua at Qingyu village, which was quite crowded. Almost immediately, the overjoyed girl greeted her grandfather and told him that she had returned. Her grandfather turned out to be the village headman. He was worried sick to his stomach about the girl, so he was very happy that the girl was fine and she was okay. Tears even formed in his eyes. Xiaohua immediately confessed to her grandfather that if it wasn't for the brave warrior who brought her to the village, she would have never seen her beloved grandfather again. At the same second, a notification appeared that the task, Flower Escort, had been completed. For this task, he received 10 gold coins and 100 experience points. Grandpa immediately thanked the guy and was about to introduce himself. However, the guy stopped the grandfather and asked him to put his sunflower seeds back in his pocket. The guy also asked that the grandfather leave all the welcoming speeches for later and give him a new task. If he didn't hurry the grandfather up, the old man would have stood there for 100 years, snapping sunflower seeds and chatting about some useless things. In Sumu's opinion, no one could tolerate such a thing. The grandfather immediately cut to the chase and said that there were still remnants of magical energy in Xiaohua's body. In order to completely rid the girl of the curse, it was necessary to use the blood of a magical zombie. The grandfather decided that a brave warrior could help him and his granddaughter. Sighing, Sumu accepted the assignment, especially since he already knew where to find it all. The main quest, Zombie Blood. He had to go to the Green Bay Forest, kill 30 magical zombies, and bring the dried blood to the village elder. The reward for the quest, 100 gold coins, 500 experience points, and a green rookie staff. The elder and his granddaughter believed that the lad would succeed. However, the lad did not immediately go to the place of his assignment. He decided that since he was going to kill monsters, as a mage, he should be ready for anything. Therefore, the first thing he decided to do was to find an apothecary. It didn't take long to find him, and he made it safely to the entrance of the pharmacy. He was even in anticipation of visiting the pharmacy. Inside the pharmacy, the guy was greeted by a beautiful woman who asked him not to be shy and enter the pharmacy. Sumu was happy to see the woman. He notes that the woman still has the same big and attractive eyes. Her appeal seemed sinister to the guy. Sumu said hello to the pharmacist and told her that he needed to buy 28 bottles of Little Blue Potion. The Little Blue Potion cost 50 gold coins per bottle, and if converted into real money, it was 50 yen per bottle. He only had 1,500 gold coins on hand, so he complained about how hard it was to be poor. The woman got too close to the guy. She inquired if the guy only wanted potions, or maybe women interested him too. She's even willing to give the guy a discount if she's satisfied. However, covered in sweat and with bitterness in his heart, he decides to refuse the woman's offer. After buying the potions, he immediately leaves the pharmacy. The woman even complains that the guy has no head on his shoulders at all, since he doesn't realize how good the woman really is. But the guy gives out the real reason for the woman's refusal, that he doesn't like the woman's brother, who is a jock with big biceps but absolutely no brains. And then the very brother they were talking about showed up and asked the guy who he was talking about. Sumu tries to make up that the woman's brother just didn't hear him, and that he said that the blacksmith brother was really powerful and a paragon of manliness. Sumu also asked his brother for a single scroll, and then wished the apothecary and his brother a long life. The man remarked that Sumu showed prudence and liked it. The adventures of the guy who dropped out of school to play games are just beginning. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you would like to see a sequel, please like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your wishes in the comments. You can also subscribe to Telegram to know about new videos. Bye everybody.